probably prior to the November meeting.
Okay.
And then also they'll have ideas and we'll be soliciting input for the remainder of the year. Then also one other item I did want to mention, the superintendent's contract expires on June 30th, 2021. The superintendent's contract is the only contract within a school system that does not automatically extend unless there is other action. On all other employment agreements, if there's not some action ending it, they just keep moving forward. This contract is not that way. That's why in the past, during August or September, I typically send a letter in saying, I'm interested in discussing an extension for whatever length of time. I am not, however, requesting an extension this year. So it doesn't require any action, but it does notify you that that is my intent, so you can feel free to
retire.
Yeah, you can feel free to begin looking at search firms or whatever process you wish to utilize.
Thank you.
And that is all I have in my report.
8.1, board committees. Staff development. I did not make the meeting. Travis, were you around?
No.
Okay. Dr. Heller, were you there?
Vera, would you like to speak to the last meeting?
Our staff development meeting we did report on that at the last time that we met, and our staff development committee won't be meeting again until October 20th.
Okay. Community ed, Kelly and Travis.
Yeah, so I don't remember, Travis, if you were on it or not. It was a Zoom call, but
I had the same audio issues.
yeah. So I can give a report. Due to the COVID-19, the community ed budget took a pretty big hit last year. They had a loss of about over $200,000. Program numbers are down again this fall. As you can imagine, they've been able to do some outdoor things, but the indoor classes have all had to be canceled. Staff is working on the winter brochure, and they're hopeful to have some classes this winter. One part of community ed that's been very busy is Thunderhawk Care. That falls within the community ed umbrella. They've been full, only accepting tier 1 employees. They've expanded to 3 sites now in order to honor the social distancing requirements with the students and kind of separate out the school-age students during the day. They've had to have, obviously, hire some additional staff, and I think they're still actively hiring to try to support that program. And a lot of the conversation at that meeting had to do with some of the difficulties they had early on with like internet at the Methodist Church. They've now moved to the TAP Center. That's helped. Some of the communication between the elementary school teachers and the parents and what the expectations were for those employees during that childcare time. They're doing what they can to help students plug in during the day and do their Google Meets. They haven't been able to do it 100%, which is understandable. So there was maybe just some communication there that had to be made between parents and staff and teachers, just so that everyone got on the same page. But that was, like I said, the majority of the conversation was about how they're handling Thunderhawk Care with the hybrid and distance.
So what happens when their assignments are due again, like, and we talked about this before the meeting a little bit. What happens when their assignments are due at 3 p.m. or 3:05 p.m. if they're not able to log on and get that necessarily?
Most of those where they were saying that it was required in the elementary level, that was actually not a directive out of the elementary office. And so that has been remedied with the teachers that have been been putting that information
Yeah, I'm
out.
not aware, so a kid has, so the assignments aren't due by 3 o'clock, that's what you're
Not
saying?
anymore.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good.
Do they, what's the relief valve for people that are not tier one? I mean, we don't know what that relief valve is.
How many students are there present in the tier 1 group? Like, you don't know?
I don't know the answer to that. I bet Bob does though. Bob? Do you know that?
It's kind of by grade group or grade level. So at Sanford, the kindergarten, there's about 20 to 22 kids per day. So a total of 40 to 45. First through third grade averages somewhere around 30 a day. So about 60. And then fourth through sixth grade is again about 20. So about 40. So 140 to 150 kids total between the 3 sites.
And that's just tier 1?
Yes.
We've got, I think, 9 or 10 kids that their parents are paying to come from 8 to 3, but that's it. The rest are all tier 1.
And tier 1 are not paying?
Tier 1 are free from 8 to 3.
Still?
Correct.
Is the federal government reimbursing us this?
Was that a joke or was that a serious question?
Not that we've been told.
Both?
Not that we've been told.
Okay.
Hence the reason why I'm guessing that 200,000 negative is.
Yeah, that was just from last.
Not 98% of that is due to this tier one.
Absolutely.
And so my assumption is that, I mean, you can make some of that loss up by providing care for tier 2 students who are different tiered students that are paying, but there's no staff to man that, and there's no
Right.
space available in our community
Right.
anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Continuing on, Joel?
It was a quick meeting. Everybody is up on their community. Had about a handful of people. I just need to get a few more class, between ed stuff done. Then there's no concerns from any of the buildings, so it was a pretty quick meeting.
Good. Negotiations, Andrew.
I think we're in one contract open, I think, with the
Tentatively agreed.
tentative agreement.
Tentative agreement on the teacher assistants and then there's the clerical staff remain.
Have they reached out to us? I don't
Yes.
remember. Okay,
They have,
so we just got to find the time.
right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are we working with a negotiator schedule there, or is it just our local folks' schedule?
Just our local folks' schedule, and the main thing I need are some dates from the board's negotiating team to give to them.
Representative Valerio,
Yes,
you want to give your report?
sure. 1 second. So I think I'll just present the notes so everyone can see them.
Can you do that?
I don't think you can share your screen unless you do
Okay.
your version.
Can you guys see that?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay. So me and Mr. Hickey talked on Friday and we discussed some stuff. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep, you're just fine.
Okay. So some stuff that is upcoming with the students. We talked about homecoming. So mostly what we can do for the students is a hidden medallion in the community and in the school. If it was hidden within the community, we could do it in a park, somewhere public, in a safe place.
Sorry.
And then the dress up days would just be the school spirit, like purple and gold. And then there'll be 3 to 5 winner tickets. And then they can pick from a pop, juice, or candy bar. Coronation for the homecoming court will be at the football field. Otherwise, in case of like weather, it'll be at the Fine Arts Center, and no one will be able to come, but they'll be able to watch it live stream. And then this is the setup that they have planned for at the Fine Arts Center. And then there'll be a video for Pep Fest. They have planned the band to play the school song as the song in the video, and then for sports to send in a video of their practice, sort of like a hype video for the students to watch. And then voting for King and Queen is this Monday and Tuesday. And for homecoming, there'll be a makeup date saved for November 2nd. Some senior activities. The senior class applications were due Friday, October 9th, and the voting for the 4 class officers is the same as the voting for King and Queen this Monday and Tuesday. We also discussed hybrid learning. There'll be like a type of Google form to ask students if they'll go hybrid or distance, and if they're distance, if they'll stay distance or go hybrid. And I suggested that if you're distance on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you? And then if you're hybrid, same thing on a scale of 1 to 10. And then also, Mr. Hickey had said of maybe doing 2 days a week. And then we had also discussed student assignments, again, like the last school board meeting. So for example, the class time assignments for 3 p.m., yes, sometimes that is not, time manageable, but as long as students manage their time, like, okay, I need to start this at this time, then they can get it done. But there's also some students working at different levels. And me and Mr. Hickey had also discussed that students also need to communicate with their teachers. Communication is a big key. I feel like some students are not communicating with their teachers as much as they should be. And maybe that plays a key in for their missing assignments and why they're not meeting the deadlines. And then I also wanted to share on what distance learning looked like for me, because it's going pretty well for me. And I have, so sort of my home layout, as you can see, I sit right here. And then behind me, there's another desk back there. And then in my kitchen, there's a desk. And then I have another sibling that works in their room. They have a desk. So for 12th grader, there's a student-paced class, no Google Meets. And then for the next class, there's maybe some Google Meets for quizzes, test reviews from 9:08 to 9:58. And then for the next class, a Google Meet from that time. And then the next class, a Google Meet. And then as you can see that there's usually more, it goes down the list that there's Google Meets. And then for the 11th grader, a Google Meet, not every day, but only for test days, before the test day for reviewing. And then for intro to psychology, no Google Meets, just notes and tests that they do. And then third hour, they do a Google Meet just for notes and labs. And then next class, what they do for their Google Meets, they're learning new vocab words. They discuss their class activities. And then the next class is a Google Meet. They do mostly class discussion. And then the next class is student paced, no Google Meets. And then for a fifth grader, it's synchronous learning all day. So they have Google Classroom, Google Meets for every single class from 14 to the end of the day. And they have a para for additional help when needed. And they get their homework mailed in. Any additional homework is just Google Forms. And for a second grader, if you look at the bottom, those are the Google Meets, but they're only usually 20 minutes. They don't usually go over, but they're very active. They have the students respond. I think it's usually just 5 students in the Google Meet, and assignments are due at 9 p.m. and the homework is picked up every Friday. So as you can see, with the times, it's sometimes kind of hard for each student to be in Google Meets at the same time, because some of us have Google Meets at the same time, but we all have headphones, so it's very manageable. So that was all that I had to present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alondra.
Thank you, Alondra.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you think we possibly had the mute on this whole time?
No.
Accident?
Nope,
Oh,
I muted it.
okay, thank you.
Principal Sprung.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Being we're about halfway through the first quarter, we took the opportunity to do some surveying of my staff and of parents to kind of get their perspective on how the year's gone for them so far. And I'm going to talk about those 2 surveys. For the staff, the survey was pretty simple. It's what's worked well so far this fall, what hasn't gone as well as we would have liked, and then suggestions for improving it. For what worked well, the first and number one thing was that kids are back in school in some way, shape, or form. We are happy to see kids' faces in the building. Technology's gone extremely well. I don't know that we could have done this without the view boards, the Chromebooks, or the software GoGuardian. That's helped us be successful in what we're doing. When I talked about the plans for Ramsey, we talked about having a para assigned to each classroom so that teachers could be online with kids and parents could be monitoring the classroom, or vice versa. That's gone really well. Several teachers talked about the hybrid schedules worked well for them. The small groups allow them to work one-on-one with students, allows them to get through content more quickly. They feel like they have better connections with kids, and there's been minimal behaviors this fall. Things that have not gone as well are things that we talked about in the fall. We're still struggling with distant learners not showing up or engaging. Part of that was due to the internet capacity at the Methodist Church. We've got that under control now, and I think that's going much better. Meals in the classroom, I have some people who like it, others who say that's going well. Probably the biggest other thing, there's lots of things one person would bring up, but the thing that people brought up was the isolation of staff. And we could see that happening. Remember, the schedule is planned to isolate students. And since our staff are with the same students all day long, that necessarily also isolates staff. So we're going to have to do some things to deal with that isolation thing. Any questions about the staff survey? If not, I'll go on to students. We asked about a number of areas, and I'm going to just quickly highlight a few. 95% of the parents have said, and I've had about 25% of my parents respond, said that technology is working well all the time. When asked about the amount of work required, 80% have said it's the appropriate amount. 10% of parents have said it's too little. 10% of parents have said it's too much. When asked about the content being covered and the expectations for learning, 87% have said it's about right, 7% too easy, and again, another 7% too hard. 85% of our parents have said that teachers are communicating with them regularly. 93% of our parents said that the principal is communicating with them regularly. When asked about how the district's handled the learning models that we've been looking at, 67% have said that it's about right. 20% have said the model's been too restrictive. And another 13% has said the model is not restrictive enough. And then I went on to ask, what do they believe the safest option is? 25% have said every kid should be in distance. That would be the safest option. 26% said every kid should be in person. That would be the best option. 42% said hybrid's the best option. And 7% were unsure. Kind of tells us that while our parents are all over the board on this issue, most of them think that what we're doing is kind of going in the right direction and we're doing what we need to do to keep our kids safe. My takeaways is that technology is working. Our parents are feeling like they're being communicated with. And for the most part, the level of instruction is the appropriate level for their children. Questions?
What percentage of response did you say you had received on that?
Right now, it's 25%.
The survey just went out
today.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a snapshot, but the 25% return's a pretty good return when you think survey data.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
definitely for surveys.
Yeah, usually someone's gonna, if they get it, they're gonna do it right away, but they're not gonna do it at all.
Thank you, Bill.
You bet. Thank you.
Principal Gray.
Can I simply say ditto to what Mr. Sprung just said?
Yes.
We did the same thing here. We did a staff survey a couple weeks ago, just a parent survey today. I'll start with the parent survey. My results, and I got 37 out of 120, so it's about the same as Mr. Sprung's. Pretty much mirrored everything he said. Almost to a percentage point, exactly the same. So I think our parents are okay with what's going on. I think they'd like him. Everybody would like to be in person. I think we all agree with that. So we heard that, but they're supportive of where we're at as a whole. Staff survey, some things to add to what Mr. Sprung said. Again, the small class sizes has been very important, especially when we're trying to get literally a whole day's worth of academics done in half a day. The negatives are kids are not getting the play learning like they usually do as kindergartners. That's a sad piece, but we have to give up something, and that was the thing that was given up. The other negative, the thing that's not working so well is they see the kids really get tired. And part of that is they're academically challenged for 2.5 solid hours. to try and get it all in, they go pretty hard and pretty fast. So that's tough for a 5-year-old to do that. They're getting better at it. I will say the kids have been phenomenal. Discipline problems are very few and far between. They're busy. They don't have time to get in trouble because they're busy. The other concern that we have here is our prep time is in the middle of the day between the 2 sessions, and that's a little tight with lunch and then kids coming in. So we need to look at a way to reschedule that a little bit. The other thing that we're going to talk about at the end of the month here is I've had a couple parents ask if there's a way to switch or flip the morning kids to the afternoon and the afternoon kids to the morning to even that out. Obviously, kids are fresher in the morning. So we're going to look at that. We run into some problems with Small World Nursery School and siblings that parents put them in one or the other to match their other child's schedule. So that's going to be a little bit of an issue, but we're going to take a look at that and see if there's a way to maybe accommodate some of that if it's possible. Other than that, I pretty much am hearing the same things that Mr. Sprung just went through, and I won't go through it all again for you. So any questions concerning kindergarten? Activities, not much to say. You kind of know where that is. You've been involved in that conversation over the last few weeks. Community ed, you already kind of talked about. We are trying to look at some ways to make some changes to better service kids. So we'll be looking at maybe moving some people around to different situations to try and pick up internet, especially if we end up going distance learning for the kindergartners. We're going to have internet troubles at Trinity, just very similar to what we had at the Methodist Church. If we need to have those 35 to 40 kids online during the day, we may have to look at a different option. So we've been talking about some ideas, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. I don't want to give out too much information for fear that might not work too, but we are looking at if that were to happen in the future, as our numbers continue to rise, we want to be ready for that.
Thank you, Bob. Don't have any negatives or ideas?
No.
Okay. Sorry. Discussion item, board policy revisions, faculty free, this one? Yeah, we have the action items later. 419, 422, 516, 533, wellness policy, 601, curriculum, 607, organization guide levels. Does anybody have any questions about those?
So just for clarification, 533 is the only one that changed because of our review. The rest were all
Right,
Yes.
right,
statutory changes or.
yeah.
2.2, COVID response discussion.
And this is an opportunity just for board discussion relative to how the movement on the response to the pandemic is going. What things might you like to see? What information are you not getting that you would like to get from us? Any of those types of things. Anything else relative to, it's just a time for the board to have discussion, to ask questions, whatever the case might be.
Can you talk me through where on the website is that dashboard? I see the document, but I don't, the one with all the questions and answers. But I don't see the one that shows county, zip code, school, quarantine numbers. Can you talk me through that?
Mr. Gray.
Denise?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes.
So Kelly has a question.
So I know that document that was created, that kind of would be like our district's dashboard per se.
Yep.
Is that live on the website, Nick?
Not until this week's numbers. With the document that went out, instead of flooding people with things, we kind of thought doing one thing at a time might make more sense.
Okay,
So we put all the informational stuff out there last week. So we'll put that dashboard on this week when we have this week's new numbers.
okay. And then that will be kind of a live document. How often will it get updated?
As we do weekly, the weekly new county metric numbers come out, we'll update to whatever the new document, the new data is.
Okay.
When you send the email out about that document, because you'll send the parents an email, will you put the link, embed that link in the email? Because sometimes I even have a hard time reading things on the website once in a while.
Sure,
So it's really nice if you embed that link in there. Thank you.
we can do that.
Was there some sort of a COVID update today? I've read way too many emails today, but I thought I read something about, there was something about.
We got some preliminary numbers today, from Countryside, and we're awaiting a little bit more information, but yes, we do have some new numbers. Numbers are continuing to go up.
Yeah.
We were counting last week after the Thursday meeting when we had the information, and then the email that I sent out on Friday relative to that with where things might go if it took the turn that we were hoping for. And right now it appears that the turn it took was the other direction. It went up significantly.
You know, I went to Wilmer this weekend, and then we ended up halfway to Duluth looking at it, but, and then I went to the cities, and we both commented on how many more people in those communities are wearing masks out and about in public places than are here, and what the possible difference is.
In Wilmer?
In Wilmer. Yeah, I noticed it's in the cities, everybody's got a mask. And you go in the gas station, and I don't know, I was in Cokato or something like that, at a gas station, everybody had the mask on, except one person. But, and I think that it's hard in a small community because you know everybody, so you trust them, right? And so I'm with this person, I don't have to wear a mask, they don't have COVID. And I think we gotta change the way we think about that, because the only way we're gonna get these numbers down, and the only way we get these kids back in school and participating in activities is to get the numbers down. And, you know, even today I met with somebody, I was gonna take my mask off, and then they were with somebody they knew and they took their mask off, and I said something about the mask, and he said, no, you know, my wife was with somebody who tested positive, and I'm just not comfortable taking my mask off with you. And that was a big opener to me, because I thought, I know you really well, I've known you for years and years and years, and I was gonna let my guard down around you because I know you. And I think we all have to realize that just because we know somebody, you know, this isn't a virus that just affects certain people, it can affect anybody, and just because we know them doesn't mean they don't have it. They're not carriers. So I just hope that the community will, you know, get around this, following the rules, and social distancing, wearing your masks, and so we can get our kids back into school. That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah. No, it's fun.
No, nobody likes to wear a mask. Everybody walks in the mask and says, I hate wearing these things. I do too. Nobody likes them.
Okay, action items.
Oh, hold
Hold
on.
on, yeah, I'm ready to go on.
The question that I have is, and I'm getting it, and I also see it looking at the numbers. Black Pearl, Swift County, Yale Medicine, all in the 50s and 60s. They're still doing sports. What are they doing differently? Because Canby and Yale Medicine, so we look at both ends of the Yale Medicine County. Wyoming and Canby are both doing sports, it's still in school.
And I don't know what their conversations are that they've had within their team, or the conversations they've had with public health or with the regional team.
Would the regional be similar to our regional?
Yep. You'd say.
So then we, saying that it's okay or make it work, but ours aren't, or
That I don't know. I don't know what
so
they
what
think.
they ask.
Countryside Public Health is for all of those counties.
Right.
Right,
So they
so is
would
it
be-
worth the question to ask, what are the other districts doing to make their kids be in school still? How do they make that work? That's just, and if,
You certainly raise that question.
and if, if there is a reason that they are able to and we aren't, let's just get that out to the public, so that here is why, because that's what everybody's looking at. Everybody else says, why can't we? Well, let's show them, this is what they are doing, or this is why they can do it. This is what our stuff is, this is why we can't, if that's the case. But just so we can be transparent and answer the questions that everybody has. That would be my only comment, because I mean, I think safety should come first, but when you look at that data from the state, and those companies are higher than us, but they're still in school. What, is it their school numbers are better than our school numbers? Because I don't think our school numbers are that bad.
Right.
So where is the concern coming from?
There's conversation that says, 30 and 50 are maybe more restrictive than they would have to be, albeit non-medical opinion. But I think there's been some conversation. I know I've had some conversations with Tim Miller, our representative, and Andrew Lay, our state senator, saying, is that a conversation that could be had to loosen those restrictions? So that we're still following the guidelines, but that the guidelines, are maybe a little more realistic, because everybody agrees, kids need to be in the classroom. I will say, I really liked the conversation that's happening at the high school about trying to figure out how to make hybrid 2 days a week when we do get back to hybrid. I really like that, approach. I hope that we can do that safely.
Is it, same thing, we've been asked to be fluid, we've asked everybody to be fluid, well, we're 2.5 months away, or the guidelines that they came out with is 2.5 months old now. That 30, where is that number, and, so can we be fluid, or can the state be fluid? And, is it time to make changes or update this policy? And then also, what is our plan to get back? Are we sitting hard at 30? Is 30 the magical number to get back down to before we'll go back in the hybrid?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I think if you go to the email that I sent out, indicated that based on the matrix that there was last Thursday and the conversations that we had both with our regional support team and with Countryside, where we were going to be at approximately 50, and then we were going to, it was projected we would drop down into the 40s, the low 40s, that they believed that would be sufficient to show a trend that was a downward trend. And that was what I put out in that. That's what our conversation was at the meeting when we had that, was that, that is, and that's what we were looking at when we went in as well. We went in looking at what the trend was. When we went in, the trend was upward.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I don't know how they're gonna loosen the matrix numbers if the trend at 50 continues to be upward. I don't think anybody's gonna hold their breath on the state loosening the numbers.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah.
But it gives, it's a place to start if you've got concerns about getting kids back into school.
Yeah.
It's a place, they've got the control to make that change,
Right.
more so than we do.
Yes, you're exactly right.
And if you
Yeah.
wanna
Yeah.
At the very least,
rally, that
at
would
the
be
very
the
least,
place.
we need kids in school for hybrid, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Getting everybody back full-time is probably a stretch until there's some other solution that we don't have. But getting them back to hybrid has gotta happen.
I think that should be everybody's primary concern.
Mhm.
Athletics, extracurricular, those are privileges, they're not rights. So that should be secondary behind safety, but yeah, I think that should be everybody's concern is,
Getting back to hybrid, that's as good as we can get them right now.
And that's
Hybrid is fine.
interesting what Mr. Sparks said, but the isolation of teachers, we haven't really
Yeah.
taken much consideration into that, but the rest of the world's isolated too. Also, so
Yeah.
we've all had to deal with.
We have, although I would guess that there is a lot of informal collaboration that's happening amongst the staff, in a normal year, when they're able to be more together, you know.
Classroom.
Right, they're bouncing ideas off each other and they're really, you know, gaining, great ideas within their classroom when they can do that.
Yeah.
Right. That's a detriment.
And you mentioned conversations with Representative Miller and Senator Lang. Both Andrew and I also had conversations with Representative Miller. And I know that I met with him for about an hour and a half or a little longer towards the end of last week. And we talked about, you know, what could we do to get some of this clarified a little bit better with the Department of Education and with the guidelines that are being set out, and specifically what is it that you want, and be clear about it.
Yeah, that was his main question for me was, well, what do you want me to work on? I said, get our kids back to hybrid. Because at hybrid, they're in school in some fashion, and they're able to do some of the extracurricular stuff that they like to do, so. He had some success with, you know, whoever he's working with on getting some parents to be able to watch sports, and so I grabbed onto that and called him, and sure. He gave me 45 minutes, I was very happy with that.
Yeah. He's very responsive.
I don't think I have anything.
So.
I mean, just, I guess we'll be curious to know, you guys did a real nice job reporting on students, but the staff comments, you know, we've got a plan to help our students with different mental health issues. How much of a plan can we or do we have for our staff? I mean, they're different, you know, they're grown-ups, but, yeah.
Did I hear that there was through the co-op, like a mental health day kind of call for the staff, or was that for administration?
For administrators, there
Okay,
was
yeah,
today, I believe.
I believe so too. That, there could be something like that for teachers. That would be helpful, I would think. I think that's a great idea.
And I think that they may be looking at some things, I'm not sure of.
Right.
Maybe.
You know, one of the things that always, that we've heard a lot about is that these rules from the MDE are just guidelines. And I don't think that we've done the best job in informing the public what some of the penalties for violating the guidelines are, because, you know, there are, and we all know that there are penalties for individuals, for boards, and for the school district for violating some of those guidelines. Can you share with us some of those penalties?
Sure. So they can attach funding to the guidelines. They can also, towards administrators, they can, if you're not adhering to it, they can go after your license. And the state, while we do have examples where we believe we see some loosening in some areas, the state has gone out to a couple of schools that I know of and met with them and directed them into a more restrictive setup for that, and so, I mean, now, when do they go out and do that? I don't know. I suspect it's when someone complains to the state and they do an investigation on it.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know, but I do know that they have, in at least 2 instances, they have gone out and they've said that you're gonna go into distance learning, you're gonna cancel all of your activities for the next 2 weeks.
I don't think that we want the state coming in. I mean, you don't want to attend, you know, it's like the IRS. You do not want to attract attention from the IRS, and you don't want to attract attention from the state, you know.
No, but, you know, keep pushing like we've been doing,
Yeah.
right? Talking to people, asking the right questions. That's the stuff that we can continue to do to make sure we're testing the limits of those guidelines.
I saw this article earlier today, just what you're talking about, Dr. Heller, so on WCCO, a new survey came out that finds Minnesota teachers that nearly 30% of educators right now are thinking of quitting and retiring due to the stress, the workloads, and health risks from COVID-19. And that retirement filings through that TRA has increased 35% over the last 2 months. So, I mean, I just think it's something too that we're talking about. We're trying to look out for the safety of our kids, but with a teacher shortage, and if we have a mass walking out, we're gonna have more issues next year.
Empty classrooms.
Yeah.
Anything else? We'll move on to 3.0 action items. Title 9, sex non-discrimination policy, grievance procedure and process. Does anyone want to make a motion? This was, in August, we had a first reading.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Maggie. Anyone want to make a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Travis? Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Maggie?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Travis?
Aye.
And Darren is an aye. We don't have any executive session planned, so.
You're up.
Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So,
Thank you, Joe. Your second?
Second.
Travis? Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? No.
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
aye.
Joel, thank you. Kelly?
Aye.
Travis?
Aye.
Thank you.